Hey, top of the morning to you. I'm Michael. Grandkids call me Rue. Thanks for being on Rue Doodles Live. 8:57. Started about 8:55 and a half this morning because I'll tell you what. I sketched this little, here it is. Boop. A lobster. I sketched this little lobster on 100-pound sketching paper. See this? It says, how I know that is because it says sketch pad right there. This is from Yasutoma. I used it with ink. This is a great little pad. It's 100-pound stock. It's 30 sheets. And sometimes I still rough out things just to give me an idea of how I want it to lay. And I did this with a Lamy pen, as in Lamy. And it's really sort of good. This paper is thin, so note, water and ink go through it. You normally want to have something on the back side of it. But this, for me, this is I had this idea, and I'll tell you what the idea is here in just a second. I had the idea yesterday while my grandson and I were working in my garage, recycling about 200 different containers of paint. Not watercolor paint, but house paint, spray cans from my days of graffiti. Just kidding. That'd be fun. If I were a good graffiti artist, I'd be out there doing it somewhere, but I'm not. But these are from projects that I had, and after a while, the paint just is like, it won't come out of the cans and it's shaking. And he said, "Hey, is there what that little rattle in there?" I said, "It's a ball bearing." He said, "Have you ever gotten one out?" And I said, "Yeah, trust me, you don't want to go there. I did it one time with an axle on the end of a lawnmower tire when I was about 2 years younger than you, maybe 3 years younger than you. And after about the third time, it blew up in my face. And all that protected my eyes was the shadow of the wheel. And I had this circle here, and it was gray. And I ran inside. Mom said, "You okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." But I started wiping it off, and I realized it was oil paint. And she had to clean my face with kerosene and paint remover with a rag. It took about an hour and a half, and I still wore gray paint. I said, "I'll buy you some ball bearings. You don't want to get those out of there." This was an idea that I have, and I'll show you about it this morning. Good morning. I want to say hello to some of you, and then we'll get back down to this desk. Note, take a look. You don't see this very often. There it is right there, and it's all its glory. The English pub table in the studio here that I keep covered up with white paper most of the time. And but I just wanted you, I threw out some paper. My paper drawer is getting mighty weak. And so I started going through some paper, and then I found some paintings that I want to show you this morning. And let me say hello, and then I'll just tell you what's going on here. Good morning, Jason. Thanks for being on the show this morning. Tambly Marie, Coffee and Creativity, I'll try to bring it on. Deborah Spangler, welcome to the show. And Deborah Tauber, Karen Binder, Cinder, Denise Albright, Tamberly Marie, I think I said that. Randall Taylor Craven, Pat Brooks, welcome to the show always, my dear friend. Jethro Bodine, all the way from South Florida, way down there. The Parrot Man is aboard of the Rooster Show today. Glenn Edward Small, Linda Schleitney from Always an Adjective, beautiful Ohio. Linda Lawless, Kim Sheets, good morning. Hey, glad you're on the show today. I'm going to dinner with some friends tonight, and we leave here about an hour after I finish the show. It's a long drive to dinner. Trust me, it is. Got a few hours drive to get to the dinner to their house, and I'll probably have on my new B socks when I get there. Let's see. From beautiful Florida, Elaine Barnett, Catherine Brousseau, thanks for being here. Must be lobster bisque on the menu today. It could be before the weekend's over. John Robert Small, thanks for being on the show. Alice Durham, love to have you here. Annette Hislin, there you are from up in Bird Island. Haven't seen you in a while. Blessings, glad you're here. Linda Linhart, Chip Burr. Good to have you, my buddy. Lauren Stanley Handelmeyer Henderson, thanks for being on the show. Chris Whitaker, always a pleasure to have you here. Sue Kane, all the way from South Australia. What a treat. Is it Jeannie Mallet, Schumacher Mallet? Love it. I wish my name were Mallet sometimes because, I blacksmithed on Thursday, and man, it got me in the fever again. Although it was hot, it was getting in the 90s, and when you turn on an 1800 to 2000 degree forge and let it heat up, and I say turn it on because I used to forge with coal, but my sinuses don't need that anymore, so I have a gas forge. but I've decided I need a new hammer. Yeah, I'm going to get a new blacksmith hammer. I'm going to make, you know how I'm always painting this many, and what I tell you, 50 at least. Now I'm doing 2,000 bees. I'm going to make 50 leaves. Yep, there we go. Just like, kind of like this one, just different leaves. I have a couple more different styles over there. I'm going to make, I'm not going to make a letter opener. I'm not doing that. I'm going to do 50 leaves. And this is just a little finesse. You know, a lot of blacksmithing is just finesse, you know. And so I've got this thing going, and I've got some men who are going to be meeting at my house this year, just on some a collective thing we're doing. And I'm going to make sure they all have a bottle opener and a leaf. And that leaf is real important, and I'll talk about more of that later. But so that's kind of the thing that I'm working on. Cheryl Johnson, but I need a new hammer, so I'm going to do that. Tissy Chambers, thanks for being on the show. Love it, love it, love it. Karen Crindy, or is it Crindle? Here we go. All right. Let's see. Mindy Moivin. Marion Anwad. Michelle, thanks for being on the show. Hope you catch a bird yesterday. There are some more birds. I have 2 more or 3 more that have to be, maybe 4 more that have to be mailed out, and 3 for sure. And I haven't been really quick getting those in the mail, and it's okay. They're going to be staggered as they appear to people all over this year. And Carol and I in September are going back up to see Libby at the Gardener's Cottage in Asheville. We're meeting James Farmer there, who his cookbooks are just phenomenal. We're going to meet James and get a book from him, and I'm taking him a little honeybee bookmarker. And I'll probably pick up a couple more birds, and we'll do a little piece from there. So anyway, I'm going to show you something. There's this guy who does painting on the internet, and he is real loose, and he tells stories. Oh, yeah. And it's me. And I've changed some. I even changed from 2020. You know, I started doing this, and my paintings were just really loose and messy and raucous, if that's a word, raucousin. I just made up a word. And rauckish. Not like rock shrimpish, but I found some paintings in my old file because I'm doing some editing, and I had to open up some old hard drives, and I found these. I want to show you these. And I want to go back to my style from 2015 to 2020. I've gotten a little pristine. I'm a little more reserved, and I'm always talking about painting loose, but I think I've tightened up some. I think I've just kind of gotten a little tighter. So I want to show you a couple videos to show you what I'm talking about. If I had a hammer, Valerie Praise said, I'd hammer in the morning. Yeah, I want a rounding hammer. That's a different hammer. It's really and it's not cheap. I'm always talking about not buying. Look, I don't want you to buy bad brushes, but you don't have to have a $200 brush, you know, to paint some of the stuff that we paint. But sometimes you might have to have a $200 hammer. You don't want bad tools. You want good tools. So buy the best brushes you can buy, but buy nylon is okay for watercolor when you're first learning. And then you'll get into squirrel hair, and you'll get into maybe goat, and then maybe you'll get into sable later on. And some of you have sable brushes now, paint with them. But you don't have to have those to start, is some of my cry, if I had to cry. I do better with loose painting, but my nerves are still bad in my arm. That'll come around. And I love cookbooks. Got 2 of 10 cents each. I love it. All right, here we go. Hey, here's a couple little videos I want you to see. Let's see if this is going to work. I'm going to play some different music with these. Here's an early top of the morning video, and I'm going to tell you what these did for me. These are some of the time lapse that I did in 2020 and all. I want you to see the style a little bit, and then I'm going to paint something on some different kind of paper this morning, because I used everything to just stay loose for a while, and I really think I've tightened up. Take a look at the style. I want you to see this. Okay, here we go. I think this one's called Top of the Morning. Some of you are going to say, hey, it still looks like the same, but I'm telling you, I see where I'm a little looser with the brush. note this one doesn't even have lines. I put them in later. And I don't do that very often, but this was just a fun little approach. This one is from 222, and I was really working hard to keep it loose. This is what I call the kitchen sink, right? All right, give you a little idea of, I looked at some of those old paintings I was editing in a hard drive, and I thought it said a lot of, I keep those files, and it said, Rue, here's some of your painting, and it made me want to, it made me want to go back and paint loose, and so I thought I'd just grab something to do it fun this morning, because here's what I'm getting ready to do. I have I don't really have an office. But what I do have is this room that these guys gave me, and it's in this little co-op building, and it's about 10 feet by 10 feet. So it's just a little 10-foot square room. Maybe it's 12 by 12. Maybe not. 10 by 10 probably. And I've covered the walls. There's one brick wall in there, but I've covered the walls in foam, like padding foam that you would put on a gym floor. You know, so it's gray or black. It's black, and I use push pins, and I use 3x5 cards to pin things to the wall. So the people that I consult with, that come in, there's 2 to 3 chairs. There's a little a teapot. There's usually some fresh fruit or something in there, some water. There's an easel with a painting on it that Carol did, and that's it, and just the walls. And but there's about 500 3x5 cards, and a little toolbox full of Sharpies, sitting on another little easel table. So tiny. So I got a stool, and people are moving around, and so they bring in their computers, and I say, let's talk about this, because you've been thinking through this, and I want all your notes off of your computer, and I want them up on this board. So tell me the most 10 important things that you're dealing with right now. So they'll throw down these cards, and in the process of throwing down one of these cards, they'll write something on there, and they'll just take a little deal, you know, like if I had a little card right here like this, and this is a B, this is 300, and this is number 305. But something about this size, and they'll write da-da-da-da-da-da-da in a big bold Sharpie, and then they'll stack them up. And so then I'll say, okay, so I'll take a handful of push pins, and I'll go, all right, so if we're going to start with this fall, starting late August, early September, what are we going to start with? And so somebody will say, I think we should start with this. So we pin it to the wall, and we'll give it a heading, and it will start down. And so we'll build the storyboard, and then we'll go through and look at it. I've decided that I call this the OTR lab, and the OTR stands for outside the rules or on the road or off the rails or outrageous regime and thinking regime. So, and it says RTO, but I've changed it from time to time. It's in a co-op building, so I call it the Co-Lab, or I call it the Lob Lab, which is why the lobster thing came in. And so yesterday when I was cleaning up the paint, I found 3 of my canvases, and they are huge canvases. They are 4 by 8 feet, already wrapped and tight. And one of those is going to get a giant lobster on it, and one is going to get a giant rooster on it, and one is going to get a giant bee on it. So some days it'll be the Lob Lab, where you just lob things up on the wall. And there's a wall over to the side that has another board that says ideas we don't want to forget. So you've got your ideas that are hot, you got your ideas that are cold, and you have your ideas that are Luke, not so hot. And so the not so hot ones get over there. The ones that are cold are ones that are there. But we don't want to forget these ideas. And so we'll go through. And this week, someone handed me a card, and I said, "You ready to do this?" They go, "No, but I didn't want to forget it." They go, "Where's it go?" And they turned around and pinned it on the wall over there. So it's a pretty fun place to be. And over the last 3 months with these folks, we have guided these cards to create this mission vision of where they're going to go for their storytelling. And we're starting the first storytelling thing with them in August 14th. Next weekend, I'll be with them. I've got a busy day. I got 2 hours with them on Sunday after church but after church time. Lunch is coming in, and then at 2:30, I have to run across town, and I'm painting with some foster children there, and that's going to be fun. So I'm just kind of going, what do the simple folk do, as Guinevere said to King Arthur. But anyway, I have some Kilimanjaro paper here on the desk, which I absolutely love, but I'm throwing it aside because I was going through my desk drawer and I found some very inexpensive paper. I found some Bristol board, which I love. This is going to cover the desk a little bit. This is Fabriano, beautiful paper, but I'm going to go this route today. Take a look at this. Some of you may remember I painted a rooster on this acrylic paper back early May of 2020. And here's why. It went to Jenny up in Ohio, the one we lost, and I painted it on linen paper. And it says right here, it's a linen finish, acrylic paper, linen finish. It has this real texture in it that looks woven like cloth. And I tell you what it says, for acrylic painting. And I went, the heck with that. I'm going to paint this with water. And so when I did, I realized that the painting became a little more opaque and the lines of the linen showed up, and I really loved it. And I'm thinking that I needed a linen lobster. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, that's why I was practicing this lobster this morning. He's going to be pretty big. He's going to be something like this. And I'm just going to lay some colors to him and see what happens. So a little music, and then let's paint a quilted. I've done the quilted roo. He was fun. I've done several of those. In fact, there's one where the bee's flying in with the needle, and it says, am I late for the quilting bee or something like that? But hey, I don't want you to forget about next Friday night. That's the 19th of August. If you don't have it on your calendar, please write it down now. Let me tell you what's happening. It is an auction for David's Table. And David's Table is a group of folks started in Greenville, South Carolina. And we're just going to call it like it is. These are dear friends that are not as fortunate as you and I in their daily movability. Most of them are in wheelchairs. Some of them are, they would be known as a disability group that you have to come in and help, and they need assistance, and yet they just are sharp and beautiful people who love art and who love camp and who love an environment to go and just experience life in. And this camp is beautiful for that. It's everything's ramped in perfectly in the right degree of, so people can go right into the pool in a wheelchair. It's pretty phenomenal. Skeeter Powell has been a part of that ministry for a long time. And so last year, you guys, we raised several $1,000s for some extra expenses and just to help get families there and travel. And so it's in Brevard, North Carolina is where they're going. And I'm going to join them there in September. but we're going to have an auction for them. And part of what we're auctioning off is a very simple auction. They have had some folks help them do a flower sketch, and then some of them who could paint it painted it, and others have had assistants, and they've painted these flowers. And I have photographs of their flowers, and I have photographs of them who painted the flowers. And then I'm just tossing in a bee or so, maybe a rue, or just some of the paintings that I have here, and we're going to auction those off, and it's going to be that. I'm keeping it real simple. I just want it to be about their art because it's about them. So if you're wondering why you hadn't been contacted or why I haven't picked up some art, you could have maybe raised more money. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. I want this to be their auction, and we're just running it. And I'm inviting my friends. Skeeter's inviting his friends. And if you have friends to invite that night, one of the things that I will do, and Pat gave me this idea. She said, there's a lot of people who would probably love some of your work if they could just throw in a few bucks here or there, $5, $10, $15, and get something. I'm going to do about a half a dozen downloads on my Etsy store this coming week. Cards, 2 coloring pieces, a small rue that you can use, a bee that you can print out at your home. So things that you could print off if you want limited use to those. Like say, hey, I'd like to buy 2 of these and 1 to keep on my kitchen window. And I'm picking 6 choice items that I really love, and I'm putting them out there so you can, for a certain amount in Etsy, get a free download of those if you want to be a part of that. So there's a way that I'll talk about that probably more during the course of the week. I'll probably pop on Wednesday as a reminder of this auction. So all that's coming up. Write down August 19th, and please be a part at 8:57 p.m. right here, Lord willing, at this desk. We'll pray that the power stays on, and we have some fun doing that. And it's all for David's Table, a group of folks. What's this about? Hey, it's about life. It's about love. It's about faith. It's about friends and family coming together. The message is a Christian message. It's done in a very storytelling way by a dear friend of ours that's on the show sometimes, Michael Ashburn. It's about families coming and just loving on these folks. And it is a special time. And I'm going to try to do a Saturday morning from the camp, maybe with some of them, and let you see who they are and how the proceeds have come. So we're going to be doing that. Okay. All right. So that's going to happen. All right, here we go. A little music for. I need some music. Where is it? I can paint a lobster to that. All right, I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to paint this lobster on this with maybe just an 07 Pentel liquid gel pen. And he's going to be, I'm going to start him right here. Oh yeah, he's a country lobster. Grew up in a small farm pond. This is on linen paper. It's actually linen, it's acrylic paper, but it has a linen print on it. And I'm sorry, you might see it when I put some colors on it, but I think it's going to have a cool look. I don't know, I haven't tried this before. And this is just, this is probably my, I'm trying to think, this might be, I haven't kept count of all my lobsters. And you know what I did recognize here real quickly? Take a look at this. Do you know that the lobster's legs are a lot like legs on bees? They have those still segmented little legs that come out, and they're a little straighter. And this one's going down this way. There's 4 on that side. These come out here. And then the shoulders of a lobster break out pretty big right here. These are considered legs too. He has 8 little legs, 2 other legs that have claws on them, and so those are kind of the ones that this claw comes around and it comes back and then it breaks off onto a hinge like that. See that? If you ever want to know how to do that, and I'll tell you, my dear friend Tom, the Lobster Man up in Maine, he was really helpful in showing me how this works. Just in his drawings, I watched some of the stuff that he did and took a look at it. And I thought, and then of course I bought several lobster books up there. And this one has a little jaw that comes back in like this. They have a pincher and a grabber. This pincher is usually a little more narrow. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my Lamy fountain pen here and just add some of this in. I don't know what this will do on this, excuse me, on this paper, but it should stay up and as in wet for a while till I do this. I'll come in. I'm just going to put a few stripes in here just to get some of this in. And I'm going to come down and just do a little bit of this across here like that. That's pretty cool. Okay. These are just little feathery tips back here. The Carpacci, the measured part of the lobster is here to here. If he doesn't fit in that, you can't get caught with him in your boat, or you're going to get to go to jail and pay a big fine. The people who farm lobsters, or not farm them, but who fish for lobsters, they're pretty serious about their business and their style. I'm telling you, you don't be messing around with a bunch of lobster people. Oh, look at that right there. I just messed that up, but that's okay. This one's worth a mess up. It's going like that. All right, so there's that lobster. Not bad, huh? Hey. So thanks for sharing about the David's table. And here's the thing: we're just going to have fun. Some of these flowers, I have one over there, and I'm sorry, I'll show it to you Wednesday, and I'll run some painting. I'll run some pictures Wednesday. Maybe Wednesday evening, I might just come on and remind people, hey, it's this time 2 days from now, where we're doing the auction. I'll show you some pictures of some of the paintings that we're going to auction off. And I have one from Chris. I have this painting, and I'm telling you what, man, when I look at it, I'm going to have it framed and put in the studio here. I just get excited. I just think this kid set, and he put these colors in there. And I do this with my hands because, Chris doesn't have the greatest motor skills, and he has this heart that wants to create. And I love that. I love it. And so I just have this painting, and I go, Chris, come on, man. You need to experience what other people experience at camp. And so it just gets me fired up. Okay. I've had a great morning. This week, what day is it? It's Saturday. This week I have woken up at 2:30, at 4:30, at 3, at 3:27. Today was, I slept long today. I didn't wake up until 4:36 or something like that. And so I'll think, what is my brain doing? And then it starts firing. And then I've come in here. One morning I got up at 2:30 and I got dressed. I came upstairs into my office, and I started typing, and I wrote for almost 2 hours just on ideas. And so I've just been fired up. And so I don't know what's causing it, but I'll take it when I get it. Sleep is overrated. And so there we go. All right, so I'm going to just pull in some water here. I need a little more music to paint this with. Let's see if we can find something that's just really different here. What do we got? Lincoln, what do you bring to me this morning? Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Whoa. See that Lamy pen? Yeah, that's where you have to be careful when you're using a Lamy. All right, so I'm gonna drop some red in there just a little bit, but I want a little bit of blue. I did not wet these paints this morning. I just left them dry in my palette. You go like, well, we don't know when you do. Sometimes you'll wake up at the paint, you spray them. I wanted these to be a little drier. Here's why. I'm using a bamboo brush that carries a lot of water. So I just want to pick up a little color at a time because I don't know how this is going to respond to the linen paper. And so that's what I'm doing here. Blue lobsters are about 1 in a million. So this is 1 in a million. If you found a real blue lobster, most of the lobsters are a brownish, orangish green. An albino lobster is like 1 in 20 million. If you can see one of those, they're pretty fantastic. So remember, I'm using a clean brush. I'm dipping it back in. I'm just picking up a little bit of red. The red orange lobsters that you see painted most of the time are what people see when they're cooked. Yep, that's it. The claws tend to have a little more orange, just, I don't know why that is. I don't know why God did that, because it looks like they would be camouflaged more, but maybe it's so lobsters can see each other coming, and it's how they wave. I just make this stuff up, I don't know. I'll make everything up. Ooh, I'm liking him already, though. I think he needs a little bit of green, though, you know, because he's been on the bottom of the ocean floor. And so I'm loving what's happening with this paper. I'm going to see if you can see this. Let's see. I'm gonna see if I can pull this in so you can see it. Hold on. I'm gonna stand up here to this camera and come in a little bit. Look right here. Let me see if I can focus on this. Hold on one second. If I hold still right here, can you see some of those lines that are happening? It really is a fabric-looking paper. I'm not saying it's a fabulous paper. Don't get me wrong there, folks. I'm saying it's a fabric-looking paper. Wait. So hold on. It's a little funky to paint on, but I noticed the watercolor does pretty well with it, and I kind of like that. It's kind of fun what it does, and I was used to it a little bit by the rooster that I did, the quilted rooster, and so I really did like it. So I'm gonna just pick up a little bit of red orange here, and I think I'm just gonna mix a little bit of this orange in here. Clean brush, go into your colors with clean brush always. A little bit of red in here. That's kind of a good color, and I'm just going to go in here and pull this into some of the legs. I want a little more blue right in here on the knuckles. And I want some red up here. I want some red to come in there. I don't think I have a paper towel over here. That would be helpful. I feel I got the Charles Reed thing going on today where he dips his brush and slings it across the room. Sorry about the paintings that I have on the other side of the wall. This music sounds like the lobster fishermen are coming home. Did you see that splash? Oh, I love that. Somebody said, I like it when the brush has a little extra water in it and it goes splashing across the screen. And I think that's part of the looseness that I really do love in watercolor that sometimes I miss. We get a little too precise, and it bothers me that that's not my style. And yet I push to that sometimes. I don't know why. It's not like I'm trying to impress. I'm liking where this guy's going though, huh? So think about this as my model for for a lobster that's going to be 4 by 8 feet. I think that is going to be just outrageously fun to hang on my wall in there. And I've got this wall that's up high enough. So there he is coming together. And look, now I'm going to come in with a fountain pen, and I'm just going to do some messy lines. I want more lines in here. And I want an eye right there. I want an eye right there. Yeah, here we go. And then maybe just some more filigree stuff. I want some little stippling here. I don't know if I use that word very often. I've got a friend who did an entire art project out of stippling. Keith would do that. He would just do that. I put a piece of purple in there too. I just wanted a little purple, but that's too much. So I'm gonna take some of it out. There we go. All right. Now I'll put the rest of it right here. That looks good. And then a little green in the water, you know, the Maine coast. Jason was just up there. Has a lot of beautiful blues, but it's a lot of green in that water. Now there's a lot of green on my shirt. I was going to wear this to dinner tonight, but we'll may have to change those plans. Okay, so anyway, a little more orange here just to kid in some of these spots. And it's fine if I come in with a little bit of black, and the black is lamp black. Just come in there and just create a little bit of a shadowing area. And what does I do with that black here? I want to come in right here and just go right in there and this on these claws and just put some shadow down in there like that. And then maybe in these joints. What's my dad say? Stay out of those joints, son. Okay, so there we go. So that's going to give us a little bit of the lobster. I think I'm finished. I like it. He's pretty bright and colorful, huh? If I get that transferred that well to this canvas, painting it in watercolor. Ooh, it's sized. It's got some, and it's going to have a little bit of a feel like this. That's what made me think of this morning when I got up here. I thought that'd be kind of cool to do that. So there's my lobster. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and just put some more little detail in it. And this is the stuff that I would do when I wasn't rushed, that I think would just make my paintings a little more loose. I go back in and I just add some stipples and some cross hatching. Come in here. These, of course, should be cross hatched out. They look like that on the lobster. They just got the way they grow in sort of ringlets like trees. That's what it reminds me of. How do I know these great things about lobsters? Well, because my wife eats. I told you I painted 100 of them up in Maine, and she ate 100. So let's see. I want a little more orange right there, just a touch more orange on that. So I'm just making this up as I go, and don't you love what happens when you do that? Sometimes we do too much rehearsal. I find that I'm trying to teach these young people to tell stories right now, and I'm trying to get them to say, you need to just loosen up and go with the story. And so they'll say, give us an idea. And I'll say, well, like synchronized swimming. And they go, but that's all rehearsed. They go, what about synchronized mowing? And so I'll say something like that, and then I'll go, oh my gosh, there's probably a time in my life where I did synchronize mowing. And they go, no, you didn't. I go, yeah, I did. I worked at a camp, and we had about 4 acres of grass to cut. And we had a volunteer crew that would come in the summers, young high school, strapping college guys too, who like to work in the sun with their shirts off, because, well, they were, 17 to 23, and they were just like, yeah, I'll go out there and cut the grass because I need to work on my tan. And so we go, okay, here, get a lawnmower, go out there. So the manager at the time wanted to buy a riding lawnmower, and I thought, well, let's see. Okay, and so I was sort of the semi-superintendent of the property, the guy who was supposed to keep things moving. And I said, hey, there's a riding lawnmower that mows 48 inches, okay, 4 feet. And it's about $1,100. And this was years ago. And he said, okay, we can afford that. And I said, but we got all this free labor. I mean, these guys come to serve here. They love it here. We feed them. We house them. They have a great time. And they get to work on something a couple hours a day, 3 or 4 hours a day. And let's let them do something. And so we had a kid named Miller. Fred Miller was his name, Fred Miller. And Fred Miller, I sent him down to Lowe's to look at some lawnmowers and said, just, tell me what you find down there, and I'll run down there. And Biltmore Village, this was north of Asheville. So he runs down there and he comes home. He says, hey, they got a little mower that's called a Murray. I said, wow, they got a mower named Murray, and you're Fred Miller. And so, you know how I am. I was just still finding the story and everything. He said, yeah. And I said, what's it look like? And he said, well, it mows 20 inches. It's just 4 wheels, no frills. It's a Briggs & Stratton 3.5 horsepower engine. It's just a little red mower, little wheels, no adjustment. It's just 2.5 inches off the ground. That's it. And I go, how much is it? He said, $59.99. I go, love it. Go buy me 10 of those. And he goes, 10? I said, yeah. And he said, they won't have time to put them together. I said, just ship them out in the boxes, or take them out of the boxes, pile them in the van, make sure you have all the parts, bring them back. We'll have the motorcycle crew here, put them all together. We got all the tools, drop them off at the barn. So he buys us 10 of those for a quarter of the price that the riding lawnmower would have cost. I'm thinking, this is so cool. So we come back, and so we get them all out. It takes us about a day to put all the wheels on and Loctite everything up and put oil in them and gas in them and get them running. And it's like, so we got them all lined up out there like this, 10 lawnmowers. And we did a little ceremony, where we take a Coca-Cola and christen them, and we say, these are the Fred Miller mowers. It may say Murray, but it means Miller in German. And so we just started making stuff up. And these guys came out and said, hey, guys, here's your water. Hang your shirts over here if you want to work on your tan. So they're all pulling their shirts off. And we're going like, guys, not the girls. We had some girls on the outdoor crew. You can leave your shirts on, but you can wear your shorts and catch a tan. And so we got them out there. And so it just happened that they all started pushing down through this one field. And as they got them cranked up, they all kind of peeled out. And we thought, this looks like synchronized mowing. And so, there was this time where they're going, to me, this is the funniest thing that ever happened, is that they became sort of a team, and they would, it was before video cameras and drones. And can you imagine these guys doing synchronized words and like marching bands, and they're cutting the fields, and they're going like, we're mowing, 10 of us, we're mowing 200 inches. That's 16 feet. And we've got something to do. We gave them work that was fun and exciting, and they cut the grass. So I, thinking like an artist, am always looking for ways to tell a story about something that is exaggerated, but is based on truth. And so for me to have this lobster that's 4 by 8 feet long on my wall in this room, when I invite people who are new to the lab, and I'll say, meet me in the lob lab. And they go, what's that? I'll say, it's where we lob ideas. So they'll come in and there'll be a lobster there. And then some days there'll be a Roo there. It's the Roo lab where I'm there doing writing work. And then it's the Bee lab. Be creative when you're in there. So that's the kind of the Be creative. So those are my 3 paintings that I'm going to do. And I will bring you along when I do those paintings. I'm going to do those paintings in September. I think while Carol is in Italy, I'm going to get out all the paints and everything that I need. Probably use some acrylic paint, like house paint. The 200 cans that I threw away yesterday, but I'll find the colors that match this in my Bee. So there you go. There's the story, and that's where I'm going to go to it. Okay. All right. Let me see if there's any questions today, and I want to answer a few if I can. Q. Anybody? Does the paper have a waxy coating on it? Justin, it does not. I think you're going to find that it would work well. It doesn't feel like, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't feel, come on, I'll say it. Vellum. No, it doesn't feel like vellum paper, and it certainly isn't slick as Bristol board. Here's some Bristol, really slick. It doesn't feel like cold watercolor paper either, cold press. It's not as undulated and bumpy. It's more controlled with the lines going this way and this way. In fact, Justin, you may love it. I'm going to give you one more shot to see if you can see this paper. Let me pull this up and try to focus on it one more time right here. Here we go. Ready? Here it goes right. There's a focus shot. Now you can see it. Can you see the lines in there? Take a look at the lines. You see how they're running parallel, perpendicular to one another? I think you might like this. Some of you who do architectural sketching, or you want a little bit of a feel that's not as abstract as watercolor paper is. Does it paint like watercolor paper? Not necessarily. It doesn't dry as fast, but it holds the color really well, I think. So there's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Let me go back to focus here. And you know what? I got it at Michael's back years ago, and I've had this. This is the same one that I bought 2020, and I painted the quilted Roo on. I was looking for something that would look more like cloth. So that's what it looks like to me. It looks like cloth. If you're a Scottish person, at Ruth, do you feel like when you create larger artwork like the 4x8, you'll need to adjust your style? Wow, what a great question that is. I hope not, but the chances is that I might have to. Wait a minute. Let me go back to here it is. I hope I don't have to adjust my style. I'm hoping that my style will translate, and I'll tell you why. I think it's going to be a little crisper because I think we'll lose some lines, or I'll have to figure out how to make those lines work. Like this little line here is going to be, and I might have to find that I sketch it with a Sharpie in that scale. So I've got to figure out how to scale it up. That's a great question. This is my favorite lobster you have done. Whoa, thank you. I want to be on that team. Yeah, you do. I forgot to add the word auction, typing on the phone, try to get something to share if the auction comes up on the 19th and we can share. I'll do that. Thank you very much. Hey, Annette, thank you. I appreciate my enthusiasm being felt there in Bird Island, okay? Okay, Gracie's working on a French bread, vinaigrette, cheese and fruit, tomato soup, mascarpone. Great Scott, Waldo. And you think I'm being creative. All right, I don't even know what that is. How do I join Tuesday's class? Donna Buckley, Tuesday's class is through Patreon. Patreon is where people support me because I take a little break out of life and I sit down for a few hours and I work on those classes. And we'll do stuff as random as this, but it's also where, and that's Patreon. If you just type in Roo Doodles and go to Patreon, there's a cost involved. It's a whole $11.57 a month to be a part of that. And it gives you that once a month, 90-minute class, and then some other posts that I'll do, and all the videos are there. And then also my Roo's Good News Roo, which I do with folks too. And that's just been really a fun, blessed thing for me. For those few people that joined me on that, I got to tell you, it has been, and by the way, that's getting traction with some friends that I'm teaching storytelling to right now. And they want to say, hey, can you show us how to do that? And I say, well, you can certainly come aboard and see what I'm doing there, because some of them are telling Bible stories to children. And I say, it's a sin to bore people. It's a sin to bore people. Jim Rayburn said that when he started the Organization of Young Life, and he's really right. And so I don't want to do what I do in my lab or in my life by boring people. I want them to go, man, that guy is either nuts and yeah, he's a 4 on the Enneagram. He's crazy. And I just go like a cat. I go about 50,000 miles an hour, and then I fall apart about 8:30, fall asleep. I get up at 2:30 and write some more. Sometimes I go back to sleep. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I cut the grass. Sometimes I get Fred Miller to cut it for me. All right, there's my lobster. I like it. Wow, I've used up a whole hour painting this guy. I want to show you another. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do a big old B on this paper. There we go. That'll be fun. Just give you another look at this paper. I really like it though. Let's see if I can just take a pencil and pencil me out a B on this paper right here. I need some B music. B. What's Cody thinking? Look at those legs. What do they look like? Lobster legs. Yeah, anything that has segmented legs is going to work on this deal. I'm going to grab my Lamy pen, and we're just going to start this B in black and white. Joe Johnson says, take that painting to a printer, enlarge it gigantically on canvas, print over it, making it crisp and vibrant, and voila. Yeah, that's certainly a thought. I'm not sure I'm going to do that because I'm just so, I have resisted printmaking forever just simply because I'm that guy who resists printmaking forever. But I love your idea, so... and graphically, oh my gosh, it's so much. And this will be the first time even getting ready for the auction, for me to put 6 prints out there. I've just decided to do it because I want people to have some something that they can pick up at the auction to help support David's Table. And Pat thought that'd be a great way to do that. And I think she's absolutely right. And so you can just go and download those. And so I'm going to put a couple of my old cards on that I did, so you can download a card or two if you want to send somebody a card. You get to keep one and download one. And I might do them in groups of 3, so you've got 2 to send and 1 to keep if you want to frame one and put it in your kitchen window. Those are all coming. I'll have the details on that by Wednesday also. I hope and pray. Hey, look, I have a busy life right now, and thank you for being a part of my world. I'm liking this big old B, though. Let's see how he comes down here to the pike in just a second. We'll put some streams out here like this. Once again, just going to grab a Yasutoma number 1 brush, And let's start with something I never do. Let's start with the wings. What the heck? Let's go in and get some titanium, little bit of titanium buff, and just let those wings go in like that on both sides. A little titanium buff. Watch that ink roll just a little bit there. Gonna come out. I'm gonna grab some brown because I think a little bee has some brown coming off his wings like this. And I'm gonna grab a little more brown right in here. I'm gonna have to be careful with how much water I have in my brush because this Lamy pen that the knucklehead used is getting pretty loose. Okay, I'm gonna grab this little yellow because I need some in my other one, and this one's very clean. Just grabbing some nice yellow right here. This is Gamboge. Drop it in there, and then I'm gonna come in and just go with some yellow right in here like this. And look, I'm not being real careful again. Stop being careful. Oh gosh, I was 25 years old first time my dad came to visit me at camp, and they had stuck the Jeep way up the mountain, and some guys had hit a big rut and run our big 1944 Dodge weapon carrier off into the woods. And so they called me on my radio and said, hey, a couple guys have run the Jeep. And I go, oh my gosh, are they okay? Yeah, the guys are fine. They're standing up in the middle of the road. The Jeep is way down the hill. The Jeep weighed more than, if you took four little CJ Jeeps, it would probably still outweigh them. Okay, so the thing was gigantic. It was made in 1944. The Dodge built it for the Swiss. Everything was written in German. And so I said, Dad, you want to go up the mountain with me? He said, no, son, that's been a good visit here, but I got to get across the mountain myself back into Knoxville in a little while. And I said, all right, just wait right here and I'll be back in a second. So I ran down to the barn and I got on the bulldozer, the 2010 John Deere loader we had. And I headed back up and I passed by my driveway. And he said, son, you be careful on that bulldozer. And I just broke out laughing. He said, what are you laughing at? And I said, I have moments where I hear you saying, hey, son, be careful with that hammer. Hey, watch out for that hand axe. Hey, look out for that low-hanging limb. Be careful as you're lifting this bee box over the fence. But today you said, hey, be careful on that bulldozer. We've reached a new scale. And so it just made me laugh. And so anytime I think about somebody telling their kids to be careful, I go, wait a minute. You haven't lived until you've heard your dad say, hey, son, you be careful with that bulldozer. My life. I love it. I love it. I love it. God's been good to me and Carol as we plow through this earthly belonging here. And we've got a great treat coming up in this month to come. It's August already. We've got a young man from way out in Washington State coming to live with us for 6 months. He's a musician, and he's coming here to intern. And needed a place to stay. So we're going to put him up here, and he's going to be welcome to Crazy Town. So I hope he can cook and paint and weld, and I hope he knows how to use a Fred Miller lawnmower. He's going to go, wait, I'm supposed to be living here. No, this is a workforce camp. Hey, I'll tell you what happens with this paint. I noticed that it doesn't cover, Jason, you were asking, it doesn't cover as well. So I find myself going back over it several times here to give it the texture that I want. It gets a little more opaque. The opacity thins out. So if that gives you any idea of what it looks like. I think, though, that this painting really needs a little bit of, you know what this needs? This needs some honeycomb. Let's throw the honeycomb over it and just do some splatter here like this. Ooh, this could look kind of cool. Let's see. Let's put it right there. Let's put it right. I think this side lays down better. Yeah, that probably. Let's put it right there. Okay. Let's just go in here and throw some of this in just like this. Let's just go and do a little bit of pencil. Not trying to do it all, just trying to do a few. I keep that hanging over there. I have about 16 feet of that stuff left from a project that I was doing for a guy who we did all of his office background tables in that stuff, and it was pretty fun. I'm just going to go in here with a real wet brush and just drag some yellow in between all these little spots, just like this. And like those baby worker bees have already crawled out, and maybe they haven't capped this off yet. Give it just a little touch like that. I love this. And then I'm just going to give it some splatter with my brush. Give it the Charles Reed effect here. I love that guy. Okay, and then to there, and then maybe a little blue in the sky up here. Maybe a little blue through these wings. Man, I'm wearing it on my shirt today. I might have to change shirts before I go to dinner. All right, so there's a little bit of this bee. And no, look, I'm going to come in here with this. Got a couple more minutes left here. Let's see what Heartland is. And let's just go in here like this. And just give him a little bit of fuzz. Bees have a little fuzz on them. They're fuzzy creatures. Carol showed me a picture. She's been going through some of our pictures. We've been cleaning out closets and throwing stuff away and just purging. The whole art purging thing that I took folks on the other day are taking me to, I'm going to lay this back down here. I'm never going to hit the right place, but it won't matter. I just want some more of this in here, around here. I didn't get enough of this. By the way, I'm tracing this in pencil just because I thought it looked like a different medium to put in there. So sometimes I just choose whatever I have. Sometimes I consciously did that. Sometimes I don't know what I'm doing until it's done. I need a little bit of, here, I need a clean brush is what I need. Clean brush, clean brush, clean brush. Drop it in my tea. You see my tea right here? I'm just throwing some tea on there right now. On my tea, and then I think I'm just gonna put a tea circle on this painting right here. I like honey in my tea. Just dipping my brush in there, letting it set for a second, putting some of this in here. Love this tea color. I'm gonna go in here and grab some of this and just bring it out just a little bit like this. Then I'm gonna go back and paint that in. I got about 5 more minutes to go. There's my tea ring right there. I like this bee, by dingy dangies, don't you know? Need a little more black right here, and I'm gonna take it in and just put it right there like that. Jason, you asked the question. You're gonna have to be a little more careful. You can't paint fast with this. I've probably painted this a little too fast with the amount of ink. I could have probably done this had I used a different pen, but that Lamy is really creating some, all right. I kind of like him. Ha! Beha! Hey, Sherry Bullard, thank you so much. Gene Anthalzer, welcome. All right, here we go, people. Join me August 19th, that's Friday night, for an auction for David's Table, and let's send some kids to camp. And here's the thing about them going to camp. Look, can you raise money and send kids to camp? Sure. But for them to go to camp, it takes vehicles, it takes their family to go. They have to have people that help them. And so we're going to raise as much money as we can. And so we're going to sell these beautiful little hand-painted flowers by the people going to camp themselves. Skeeter has pulled a group together. And by the way, they paint. They have a painting teacher, and they come together. He's an instructor more than anything else. And they come together, and some of you, I just got a note this week from some folks who've purged some art supplies and are going to be sending it to them. But listen, you know what? Every now and then you find your cause. This is a cause that I really love. This is one that I really like. And so this has been my auction. I'll have auctions for me because that keeps me in painting tools and keeps me in time and supplies to be able to do what I do online. I lost a camera this year, so I had to buy a new camera. So that's the kind of stuff that I spend my money on. If I were rich and famous, I'd probably want to do this anyway. No, I would want to do this anyway because I love the whole concept that you're a community. I love when you send out cards, you talk to one another, send cards to one another, hope for one another, wish for one another, pray for one another, just encourage one another. And that's what this is about, okay? I love the fact that several of you have created your own Facebook pages and that you're painting and that you're selling your art and that you're showing your art in places and that you're moving around and you're getting better at it and you're leaving a legacy for kids and grandkids. And I'll give this a caption, and that might be, maybe I'll put that in the auction too. Maybe these two paintings go in the auction. I don't know. We'll do something with it. I love this. This is on linen paper, and it's a 9 by 12, and it's a big old biggie. What did you use for the comb? Tamberly Marie, I used for the comb this honeycomb steel. Right there it is. It's a piece of steel that's been hammered out like this. I had, oh my gosh, I had 6 sheets of this that were 3 by 8 feet long, and I actually lined these metal oak back walls that I did with them, and so people could put their magnets and stick to it, and it was a yellow process. The boards had a yellow stain, so it really looked kind of cool. Something I made for a client a few years ago, a Compass Foods client. So that's what I did there for. All right. Neat bee. Neat bee. Janine Mallet says her art's going into a local gallery on Tybee soon. Janine, that's fantastic. And Janine, I got one recommendation for any of you that you're putting your art in galleries. Make sure you put some pieces in there that are small pieces, okay? That are little pieces like this, like I do at the coffee shop, that are pieces that are 6 by 8 inches or 4 by 6 inches or things like that, that are priced in such a way that people can say, ooh, I'm taking that home now and I'm going to put it in my purse and I'm going to carry it home. And then what happens is that becomes your marketing. So do enough small pieces. I have a friend who does giant pieces. Y'all know my 2 cents on this. And she said, gosh, you sell so much art. And I said, I sell little pieces like this because everybody has a space for it and they market my art for me. You heard it here. And I don't have to sell those pieces for $1,000. I can sell those pieces for $75, for $100, for $40. So when the coffee shop calls me and says, hey, we sold 4 of your paintings this week, could you bring us some more at the coffee shop? I'll do 5 or 6 more. I'll take them and put them over there. They're framed in little frames, and boom, they go flying off the wall at $35 to $65 each. And people go, it's original art, it's on my wall. And people come in and go, ooh, who did that? I want one of those. And then they go to the coffee shop or they call me. So do some pieces of small works that'll move fast. And then that'll pull people closer to you, and they'll get to know you and your art, okay? All right, I'm not saying don't paint big art. I'm just saying have fun with what you paint. All right. She says she does it. 8 by 8s are a beautiful size to sell, and anybody can find an 8 by 8 or smaller at their house. So you own it. Great job. All right, I'm out of here like a herd of turtles. I got to go pack my bag and get in the car and drive to dinner. It's a few hours. Love these friends that we're going to see. So I'm off and running. Thank you for sharing my page. Thank you for being a part of what I do. All right. Blessings to y'all. I'm out of here like a herd of turtles.